Every match is important, even if it's not the finals. Having whatever extra edge we can to make it to Worlds is really important.
Back, we gotta fight, guys.
If they're relentless, they will get through this.
Immortals just shut them down 3-0, so they look really lost. Maybe their morale's really low and we can crush them even more.
That's okay.
Oh my god, it's a massacre.
We have no choice but to shake it off. Our season isn't over. We've only got one more chance and we've got to do the best we've got with it.
Hello, Boston! Welcome and thank you for joining me here in the historic TD Garden as we kick off the North American LCS Summer Finals weekend. It is my pleasure to introduce our third and fourth place contestants for today. Starting to my right, Team Dignitas. In the top lane, Someday. In the jungle, Shrimp. Their mid laner, Keen. Bot laner, Altec. Their support, Adrian. And their coach, Cobb. And their opponents for today, Counter Logic Gaming! In the top lane, Darshan. The jungler, Oh My God. Mid laner, Hoohee. Their bot laner, Stixay. His support, Aframu. And Coach Zix. Once again for our two teams, give it up, Boston!
Finals weekend is here, baby. It's long awaited, but we've made it here to Boston and the TD Garden. Hello, everyone. You're joining us to the home of the 17-time NBA champions, the Boston Celtics, the 6-time Stanley Cup champs, the Boston Bruins, and where we will crown our 2017 North American LCS Summer Champions. Hello, everyone. I'm James Dash Patterson. My boarding party for this weekend is Mark Zimmerman and Joshua Jatleesman. Gentlemen, how are we doing? We made it to finals weekend.
I mean, I could not be more excited. Back in my hometown, I used to sit in Section 8 and watch Celtics games all the time. I can't believe I'm here casting, covering the desk. And overall, like, the city of Boston just has a rich winning tradition. All my greatest memories in my childhood was watching teams win. Hopefully fans here tonight can make their own great memories watching the players.
Yeah, I grew up watching a bunch of Celtics games as well, but any other Laker fans in the house as well? Dash, I think.
Oh,
yeah, Lakers. No, it's true. I can't tell you what it means for me to be able to do that in this place because it's such a historic moment to be here for the NA Finals.
Very much so. We waded through a 5-game series over in EU. We're just about ready for our third-place match here in NA. Dignitas, CLG, two teams that got knocked down a peg in the semifinals, here to represent, look for seeding in the gauntlet, and make their run for Worlds. It is a big matchup. But the fans, they loaded into the TD Garden earlier today. That's adding to this aura, what you talk about, the hype and the energy in the arena. Here you go. Beautiful shots of all of our fans who've made the trip out here to celebrate and to support their favorite teams. They've, of course, met with TSM and Immortals earlier in the day for a meet and greet with the teams that are fighting for those trophies there as you see them. The TSM squad, Bjergsen, having been nominated, or rather named, our MVP earlier in the day. That announcement was made. Immortals as well, taking the time to meet the fans. They're, of course, gearing up for their game tomorrow. But today, finals weekend, we want to see how you're LCSing, whether you're here in the Garden, hosting your own watch party, or you're a literal pigeon. Take to Twitter and with the hashtag HowILCS to show us how you're celebrating these games. Now, as we turn to the matchup before us, I'm going to jump right into it, guys. I'm going to immediately press you for your predictions. So, Mark, starting with you, third place match, Dignitas, CLG, who's taking it?
I think it's got to be Dignitas. Just with how the two teams looked in the semis, CLG got obliterated by Immortals. Dignitas put up a decent fight versus TSM. You know, there's always this magic that seems to happen with CLG. It's hard to count them out, but one of their biggest weaknesses is Omar God. He's a player that seems like he can get frazzled, and I don't think that this setting is going to play to his strengths at all.
Yeah, and I have to agree with you going with Dignitas right here, because when you look at the way they played in the playoffs, they've been strong. And when you look at CLG, you want to give them that veteran credibility. But the last time that worked was back in the 2016 spring split. It didn't work in summer last year in the Garden. It didn't work in spring. It's been a while since they've been able to get that energy back together. So I just don't think they have it this year. And that's why I'm going with Dignitas.
2 votes for Dignitas here, but I'll ask you, how does CLG win then? You pointed out Omar God is maybe a weak link here on a big stage, his first time competing in front of this many people. His job gets no easier today. What can he do to come away with a victory?
I think he just needs to settle down, make sure his nerves are not preventing him from making plays. We've seen in the playoffs already that he walks up and does curious things where he face checks a brush or whiffs a Gragas body slam. He needs to get those jitters out instantly and then rely on his veterans and Afromu and Huhi, Stixay, all those guys to really carry him, because they have, like, you know, it has been a while, but they are the team that really did make that great run at MSI, the playoffs, all these things before. Yeah. They need to find that magic again.
And if you talk about jitters, Shrimp and Keen haven't played on a stage this size either, so there could definitely be some jitters on the side of Team Dignitas. And I think Huhi has still been playing extraordinarily. He has a chance to carry.
The stage is set for our first best of 5 here in North America. Now it's time to send it over to the casters to bring us into the match.
Thank you, Dash. I'm Clayton Captain Flowers Reigns, and aiding me in matching the energy of the crowd all series long are Isaac Azale Cummings Bentley and Sam Kobe Hartman Kinsler. Gentlemen, this is going to be a show.
Super excited to be here. I love live events so much. We can actually feel the energy of the crowd.
Yeah, it's incredible to get to share Clayton's first live event cast.
This is electric. I love it. Being inside the arena, all the fans all around, the players are looking to head into this one too, squaring off for third place. And outside of looking for redemption for their losses in the semifinals, both teams facing off today have eyes set towards the gauntlet, and a win here means a bye on the path to Worlds.
And despite the fact Dignitas lost 3-1 to TSM, they made them work for their spot in the finals. They had an impressive showing there. And in particular, I want to focus on the bot lane success of Altac and Adrian, because these guys really have been stepping up, looked very good in the regular season, looked good in playoffs. And we contrast that to some of the struggles that Stixay and Afromu have been having. I mean, Stixay, CSD at 15 in the playoffs is -21. So he has really been having trouble in lane, and I'm not sure they can match this Dignitas bot lane.
Yeah, Dignitas historically has had that strong bottom lane down here this split, but Counterlogic Gaming, they have relied heavily on their solo laners to perform.
That's right. Some of the highlights here for CLG have been Darshan and Huhi, especially Huhi in the mid lane. He has absolutely been pumping out the damage numbers even when the team is falling behind. He has a large roster of champions to boot, which also helps them in Champion Select. Now, also speaking of the bottom lane that Azale touched on, Afromu also has to be able to work with Omar. Omar is one of those rookie junglers, and he's going to have to help him with this roaming game that has become extremely important in the current meta to get them through this mid game. Because there are a lot of mid game, skirmishes where CLG looked a little bit uncoordinated, and just a second difference in timing can really make the difference.
Yeah, it certainly can. And despite the fact that people are looking at Dignitas as the favorites, I mean, CLG's bot lane has had incredible performances in the past. And if they can step up here today, I think it's anyone's game.
And remember, this bottom lane played Xayah and Rakan all 3 games versus Immortals. So they were opting for that matchup. They wanted the playmaking abilities of it, even against some slightly stronger laning duos.
And let's not forget, these two teams throughout the regular split as well have been evenly matched, total record of 1-1 between them. So this also not just a match for third place, somewhat of a tiebreaker to prove who really is the top dog between the two.
Exactly, and last time that they did meet, it was in Week 9 with Omar God, the most recent CLG roster, and CLG did come out on top.
You can hear from the roar of the crowd.